Before you get a remote job or commit to freelancing, you should not only know the difference between the two, but also understand the pros and cons of each of them so that you can weigh your options and make an informed decision when going into either one. So in this video, we'll be breaking down the good, the bad, and the ugly parts of remote working and freelancing so that you can choose your roses and their follow-come thorns. But first, if you're new here, then it's great to have you on the channel. I'm Vicky Johnson, and I'm sharing my journey making a living on the internet through remote working and freelancing. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, then be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss new videos from me every week. So a lot of people think that remote working and freelancing are the same thing, but they're actually not. So what's the difference? Well, if you're working a remote job, then you're actually employed, whether it's full-time or part-time. You're employed by an individual or a company who pays you on a monthly basis to work fixed hours every day, depending on your arrangements. And basically, you work according to the company's policies. When you're freelancing, on the other hand, you're not employed. You work on projects on a contract basis for clients who could also be individuals or companies. You're not tied to any strict hours, so you can work whenever you want, as long as you meet expected deadlines for the project. So in summary, you can say that remote working is like having a 9-to-5 job that you do from your house, while freelancing is more like being self-employed and offering your services to clients on your own terms. So let's delve into the pros and cons of each. I'll start with remote working. Some of the pros of remote working are having a stable income because you have a fixed salary that you get paid on a monthly basis when you work with a company as an employee. You also get company benefits like health insurance, sometimes pension contributions, paid leave or time off, and sometimes in some really bougie companies, even paid vacations. Another benefit of working a remote job is having a structured work environment where your roles, your deliverables, and expectations are very clear. So you sign in to work daily knowing exactly what tasks you are needed to work on and what deliverables are expected from you. You also have opportunities for growth and career development as a remote worker. As your skill and experience level improves, you become eligible for promotions, which also translates to more money. And then typically, companies train employees, so you get to improve your skills by learning from experts who have more knowledge and experience than you in the company. Working remotely also offers you some level of work-life balance. Because you work at a fixed time every day, you can then allocate the extra hours of your day to actually living your life and doing the things that you love. Also, with most companies, you'll only be required to work on weekdays, so you have your weekends to yourself. Another benefit of working remotely is routine. Because you work fixed hours every day, you can easily create a routine in your daily life, which will help you to build positive habits and discipline and become more productive in even other areas of your life. Another benefit that comes with working remotely is that you get to collaborate with a team in most cases and learn from other members of your team while also sharing your knowledge. You also get to make friends at work and build meaningful connections with the people that you work with. And I think this by far is one of the best reasons to work remotely, if you ask me. So what are the downsides to working remotely? Well, one is the fact that you have limited flexibility. Your working hours are fixed, and so you can't work on your own terms or when you want. You have to work according to the company schedule. And if you're working for a company in a different time zone than you are, that can be tricky because your working hours may fall well into the night. Another downside to working remotely is the fact that your earning potential is quite restricted. You can get promoted from time to time if you do good work. But in typical cases, you have to wait for about a year or two before getting promoted. And advancement in your knowledge, skill, or experience level is not directly proportional to your earnings. For example, if the company you work for has been taking on projects worth 5 naira and has been paying you 1 naira, and then tomorrow the company decides to take on projects worth 10 naira, that does not mean that your monthly income will immediately increase to 2 naira. You will still be limited to your agreed monthly salary until you are reviewed and promoted whenever due. Another disadvantage of working remotely is that you do not have control of your workload. You can't just say, I want to work on a SaaS project this month. Let me choose and pick the projects I want to work on. You have to work on whatever your company assigns to you. And lastly, If you're someone who has an entrepreneurial spirit, you may find it a bit constraining to work a full-time job where the rules are set for you. But you can turn this around to your advantage by working closely with your employer or decision makers in the company to share your thoughts and ideas, get feedback, and even get mentorship, which will help you a lot in your entrepreneurial journey. Okay, so these are the good and bad when it comes to working remotely. Now let's look at the pros of freelancing. First of all, as a freelancer, you have an unlimited earning potential, which means that as you improve on your knowledge and skill and experience, you can easily up your prices and you don't have to go through any review or promotion schedule to earn better. Like if you were charging 5 naira for a project last year and this year you feel like you have really grown in your skill and you need to increase your pricing, you can up it to 10 naira and who will not work with you will not work with you. But nobody is going to say, oh, let me review you or let me check if you're due for promotion before you're allowed to up your prices. Then you also have flexibility. You get to choose the projects you work on, your working hours, and most importantly, you get to choose your clients. This is not a luxury that you have as a remote worker. And then side by side with flexibility is independence. You don't have to adhere to strict company policies. If you're working remotely, you may have a dress code for virtual meetings, for example, but when you're freelancing, you might not even want to turn on your camera. And as long as it's okay with your clients, it's not a problem. Freelancing also helps you to acquire a diverse set of skills and experience. Because as a freelancer, you're going to be acquiring clients by yourself, especially if you don't have a budget to outsource things like sales and marketing. So you will learn sales and marketing. You also learn the basic and important skills that you need to have to build a successful freelance business. For example, you might not have a budget to hire a website designer, but you will need a website as a freelancer. So you will learn how to build a website. You'll learn how to write cold emails, how to pitch and sell yourself, how to manage your books, and all of that. So freelancing forces you to actually acquire new skills that will set you up for success in the long run and make you even more valuable to a wider range of clients. It also offers you networking opportunities. If you're working a remote job, you might not be allowed to contact company clients or foster a non-official relationship with them. But if you're freelancing, you're open to networking with your clients even outside of the project or contract period. Those are your connections, not the company connections. Another benefit of freelancing is scalability. You can grow your freelance business to accommodate more projects and even hire subcontractors to outsource extra work to. That way, you're able to cut a bigger slice of the pie in your industry and increase your earnings. All this sounds so good, but wait till you hear the cons or the downsides to freelancing. One of the cons is that your income can be very inconsistent, especially when you're new to freelancing. Even as a pro, you may still have inconsistent income because you may not have clients coming in every single month. On average, I take on one new project every 3 months, and sometimes I go as much as 5 months without a new project. So having a remote job actually helps me to maintain a consistent income. Another downside is that you don't get any employee benefits because you're not an employee. So unless you set up health insurance, pension, paid leave, and paid vacations for yourself, sorry, you're not getting any of it. And then running a freelance business requires a lot of self-discipline. With remote working, you know that if you don't show up to work today, you are going to get fired. Okay, maybe not fired, but you might get penalized or something. With freelancing, you can literally not show up for a whole month and no one will even notice that you're missing unless you have an active project. So you need to be someone who is really disciplined in order to keep showing up, especially when you're just starting out and the monetary reward is not yet coming in as consistently as you would want. When there's no immediate rewards for your actions, it can be very easy to stop taking those actions. So yes, you need discipline to be a freelancer, to be able to get up in the morning, send those emails, make those pitches. It takes a lot of discipline and it's easier said than done. Also, as a freelancer, you have to wear many hats, especially when you don't yet have a budget to hire helping hands. You are going to be doing your client acquisition, your branding, your bookkeeping. This can be a lot and sometimes might even distract you from your core work, which is delivering the services that you offer to your clients. So it can be very demanding and very stressful, most especially in your early days. And lastly, as a freelancer, you don't have any job security. You could be working for a client on a project today and tomorrow they end the contract because maybe they ran out of funds or they gave up on the project or something. Now, mind you, if you were working for a company and the client decides to end the contract with your company, you will still be paid your salary at the end of the month, whether or not the client paid the company in full for the project. But as a freelancer, you bear the entire risk. So, now that you know the differences between remote working and freelancing, and you also know the pros and cons of both, which is better for you? Well, that depends on what you value. If you value financial security and employment benefits while having some structure and routine in your life, then you should consider getting a remote job. But if you value freedom, scalability, and independence, especially if you want to live a spontaneous life and do things when you want and how you want, then freelancing might be the right fit for you. And if you're unsure where to start, or if you're a student and you're not sure you have the flexibility for remote work or freelancing, and maybe you don't even have a skill that you're already good at, you can go for remote working on a part-time basis. So you can get a part-time remote job that allows you to still focus on school or whatever you have going on while maintaining a stable income and actively grow your skill and experience on the job. As for me, I do both because I value having a consistent income, which remote working provides me, but I also want to explore different kind of web design projects in different industries and keep my portfolio alive with new projects. And freelancing helps me to do this. Even though I typically work on a single project every 3 months, it's great to have the extra source of income, which sometimes is not extra at all. It actually outshines every other income when it's a really good project, but it's not consistent. So having a remote job actually provides financial security. If you're also considering taking on both, then that might be a good idea as long as you're able to strike a balance and you don't get overwhelmed. I would advise that you start with one, preferably remote working, and then get very comfortable doing it. Then you can add on freelancing and find your balance. Also make sure that you're very transparent with your clients when you take on freelance jobs. Let them know that you're working a remote job and that you will not be available during certain hours in case they want to reach out to you or schedule a call or anything like that. Once you establish with them that these are the hours they can reach out to you, it makes it a lot easier for you and you'll be able to balance working remotely and freelancing. Just make sure that you're able to keep them apart and they don't clash. It also helps if your remote job requires the same skill set as your freelancing. Like for me, I work as a website designer and I also freelance as a website and brand designer. These two things require the same skill set, so I don't feel like my attention is divided when I have an ongoing project and I still have to show up to work every day. I can easily show up to work and then after my shift is over, I go back to my freelance project and I'm using the same design skills to work on that project. Okay, so now equipped with this knowledge, I hope that you can make an informed decision whether you want to go into remote working, freelancing, or find a balance between both. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. And share this video with someone who you think needs it. If you enjoyed the video, then you definitely enjoyed this one. See you in the next video. I'll start with remote working. I'll start with, okay. Okay. Be serious.